Well, hello, everybody. It is Friday, which means it's the Dennis and Andy Show movie review that we do just for you, our lovely viewers and audience. We went and saw last night Godzilla Kong. Wasn't the original title Godzilla vs. Kong, and they changed it to where it's
No,
just like there's.
no, because the last one was Godzilla.
Oh, that's right. This is
Kong.
just.
So
This
this
is
is
like.
Godzilla X Kong,
This
the
is.
new empire.
This is like a Marvel team up.
It really was. I will be honest. Going into this movie, after seeing the trailer, I have very low expectations going into this movie. I thought the last one was very solid. It was a really decent movie, but yeah, getting a souped up Kong with the big power gauntlet and stuff, and I went, "Oh my! Did we just go down a video game rabbit hole?" So the
I
question
was
is,
waiting to see, when he got and guys, we're going to do non-spoiler, and then we'll throw the graphic back up and do a spoiler. But this isn't a spoiler that he gets that big, mechanical boost to his arm. I was looking for the insignia that said Stark Tech. That's what I was looking for.
yeah, that usually comes up. The premise of this one is there's two ancient titans, Godzilla, Kong, two of probably everybody's favorites. And last time they fought, and we could say Godzilla won that one. But now they have a new clash of epic proportions as humans unravel that their intertwined origins and connection to Skull Island, the humans, and this inner Earth. And, it was interesting seeing how they're building upon, the last movie to world build. And surprisingly, in my mind, they did a nice job of at least putting some of the pieces together. Now, I will say this before we really delve into it. This was not a perfect movie in any regard, but it was a visual spectacle. It was
It
beautiful.
it was, yeah. I mean, it was. It was a visual spectacle. Kong uh, is has his new home down there in Inner Earth, and he's still on the hunt trying to find more of his kind. um he uh he he's down there doing that. Godzilla's up above, and on our regular Earth, and he's taking care of threats up above. He uses the Roman Colosseum as a big doggy bed, a Godzilla bed, where he curls up right in the Colosseum. Which just that I'm like, well, he's destroyed the innards of that, just because Godzilla's not light, and it's not like the Colosseum floor is what it was, way long ago.
Yeah, no, that is true, and we will really touch on more of this stuff in the spoilers because
Yeah,
there's a lot we got to unpack with that. But director Adam Wingard really did continue on the MonsterVerse building, and
yeah,
I thought he was very successful with it. They brought back Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, who's just become one of my favorite actors. They bring in Dan Stevens as the new vet, and he was kind of funny. I
yeah.
really enjoyed him. And they did bring on Haley Hoddle. She reprises her role as the last of the deaf race. And they explored all of those. And I really enjoyed, the relationship between mother and now daughter.
It was,
And
it was good, but I gotta say, there's a one time where they're traveling somewhere, and the mother there, Rebecca, says something to the daughter, in sign language and stuff. And then, of course, has the closed captioning. And she says something like, you're perfect just the way you are, something like that, right? And I was going to lean over to you, but this theater is actually really crowded. So I didn't. Usually, if it's just Dennis and I and a couple other people, I'll lean over and interject something. So she goes, "You're perfect just the way you are." And I want to have her tag it with, well, except for the fact you can't hear or speak. other than that, you were literally perfect just the way you are.
Yes, yes, it. Yes,
But so one thing I got, because I don't remember from the first one, and they did make a, one of the characters uh, made a point of commenting on her hair. Was her hair longer in the first one? Because I don't remember. I'm assuming it was because the guy was like, "Oh, you cut your hair and
yeah,
I like
it
your
was. Yeah,
highlights."
it was not that short.
But
See,
I like the guy they brought in that played like, I mean, he was a vet for like Kong, but he was also, scientist and whatnot. I liked him. I mean, it was the typical tropes. You had, the main character actor was Rebecca, and she's, the strong female, and then you've got, the sidekick. What was the dude's name? The black guy that was from the first
Brian
one.
Tyree Henry.
Yeah, he's good.
Yes,
I enjoy his character, but he's that typical. He's a smart guy, but he's also kind of like not as strong willed in a way. He's kind of second fiddle,
and he's your
but
comic relief.
yeah. But then also the thing was though, the vet slash scientist was kind of comic relief as well.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
thought
and he was surprisingly fun.
he
And,
was.
and and the thing that I always have against most of these Kong movies, Godzilla minus one being the exception, is you don't really care about any of the humans. And I could almost say that about this one, but again, the relationship was there. That was kind of fun. All the little people that get crushed throughout there, and there are a lot of them. We'll really talk about that in the spoiler section. It was good. It's what you expect from a Godzilla movie, and that's
Yeah.
the thing that
I
all
mean,
Godzilla movies suffer from.
so the basic gist is, Kong's down there. You've seen the trailer, this little child, for lack of a better word, red orange type gorilla who he befriends. And then you see there's this whole tribe basically of apes. And, they have face paint and stuff and body paint. And the leader is just this, from a body type, when you design a character, you want to think about silhouettes. So when you see this leader type, unlike Kong, who's just like a freaking barrel, literally takes that name barrel chest. This leader is more wide shouldered, thinner type. I mean, for a good section of this, when you were in that realm of under Earth or whatever, inner Earth, I was thinking it's Planet of the Apes. Um, and then, of course, they introduced this new Titan that the leader of this pact of apes controls, and which, of course, we'll talk about more in the spoiler section. But uh, that's basically the point of why Godzilla and Kong have to team up to basically stop this whacked out crazy ass ape leader who is controlling this one Titan. Um, yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, visually it was stunning. The acting was fine. It definitely had some moments where you were like, oh, in it, which we'll talk about in the spoiler section. I guess we can give our grade for it because, for this section, it's just overall thoughts, and we don't like to delve in more of what you saw in the trailer. That's why it's
Yep,
non spoiler.
yep. Your turn.
Oh, is it mine to go first? Okay. Um, Man, I was really going back and forth with this. Like, I had an initial reaction leaving the movie last night with what I was going to grade it, and I was thinking about it more this morning. This is kind of it's a weak grade, but it's like a 5.5 for me. You
Wow.
know, I could have it was visually cool, but I think, and we've said this before, target audience isn't necessarily me. I think the target audience would be great for like uh basically 10 and up, 10 to early 20s, maybe early 30s, because they're more into the flashiness and not thinking through like story stuff more. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm, just getting older and more sophisticated. I do think about story stuff and things making sense and stuff like that. And I think Godzilla minus one proved that you can do a really successful movie with all the cool visuals and have that stuff in there. So that's what I'm giving it.
All right. I'm a little bit different on this one. I think these movies suffered from the fact that we just saw Godzilla minus one, and it was such a great movie in every aspect that this one completely changes things. I, I enjoyed it. I said I went into this with very low expectations, and it was better than I anticipated. So did I have fun? I had a lot of fun with this movie. We did see it in 3D,
Mhm.
and the 3D was very good. There are a lot of criticisms that I have that we'll talk about, but overall, I enjoyed it. I had fun throughout the entire movie. I was never really bored. It was a little slow to start with, but I was never bored. I'm giving this one a surprising 7.0. I really
Wow.
enjoyed it. The question would be, would I see it again? You know what? I would watch this back to back with Godzilla versus Kong. And yeah, I would. I'd probably see this one again. So yeah, there we go, guys.
I'd
And
probably have to I would if I saw it again, I would probably have to the only way I would probably do it is watching the first one so you can roll right into this one. I mean, there is time passage between the two movies. It's not like this picks up the
yeah,
next day.
no,
But
it was just pure fun. It was
it,
just
it and it
fun
was. It was
popcorn.
cool looking. If you turn your brain off, it's the typical popcorn flick.
Yep.
It was fun, but at the same time, just to finish my thought, if for some reason we were so busy or I was so busy and I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, I wouldn't be kicking myself. And then if I didn't get a chance to see it until it hit streaming or whatever months from now, once again, I'd watch it, but I wouldn't be kicking myself that I missed it. So
Yeah, our friend Bud Root, he went with us yesterday, and he and I stood outside for a while and talked about it to get his. He loved it. He
oh
said it
yeah.
wasn't perfect, but he, of course, absolutely loved it. So he really enjoyed it. But let's see what everybody else thinks. IMDb, they have a 6.7. So, yep, we got scores out for this one. So, overall, like I said, IMDb is always a little low, but they're right there. Okay, now this is kind of what I expect. Rotten Tomatoes. Critics hated it, 56%. Not at all surprised. Critics did not like this movie. Audience, however, 93%.
Wow.
Yeah, and they've already got over 250 reviews in it. So, hey, what can I say? The audience really had fun with this.
Well, there you go. So, like, subscribe, and share. This is the part where we throw this graphic up to let you know we're going to talk spoilers. If you don't want to hear them, get on out of here. Thank you for watching. And it's spoiler time. One thing I kept thinking throughout the movie when they would show Kong full body like that in that graphic
Yep.
is I was like, oh my God, now I get it. Dennis is built like Kong. If you look at Kong's inseam compared to his the rest of his body, that's like Dennis. I was like, wow, if you could take the pants that you would put on Kong and just proportionately shrink them down, Dennis and Kong could switch
They,
pants.
they, they really did, take his dimensions right after me. I must have met Adam Wingard at some point, and he went,
Yeah,
"Hey, Kong, I like that."
big barrel chest,
That's
monkey
right.
arms, short inseam, pissy attitude. It's Dennis. Dennis is King Kong.
Yeah, a great lineman for the NFL. But
That's right.
I will say this. We have to talk a couple of things that are important about this. Number one, we got to talk collateral damage.
Oh my God. Good Lord. You thought Avengers Endgame was bad
Oh,
with or Batman versus Superman was bad. Dude, they just take this to another level. Like the fact that they're like, hey, Godzilla's cool. He saves us. He helps the planet from these other titans and stuff. Yeah, that might be the case, but he doesn't do it. Like if he's fighting a titan, okay, I get it. Shit's going to get fucked up. But even when he gets up out of the Coliseum to go to where he has to go with his Godzilla spider sense, he knocks shit over and doesn't give a F. And it's like, dude, you don't know if those buildings were empty. And even if they were empty, thanks for the amount of rebuilding we have to do, especially in Rome, where it's like, how many classic structures are there that you're going to fuck up?
you know, they really did a good job where he goes into the water and he's swimming through and he's in the canal and every bridge, bam, 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 one right after another.
Cars are on the bridges, people
yeah.
are on the bridges. Godzilla's like, I got to go.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, that's just it. I mean, every city he popped up in, it was like crush, crush, smash. It is Godzilla walking through us is like us walking over through an anthill. It just is. He doesn't even think twice, doesn't even notice. And you know, it's kind of probably realistic. But you know, that does really should lend the fact of like what should we do to protect ourselves? And they have a
Well,
nice intro with Brian Tyree Henry at the beginning. His character's talking. He's got a podcast and he's talking about insurance. How do you insure yourself? We have Gargantua, the insurance company. We care about you. And I was
and
like,
who could even afford that? You
yeah,
know, it's like it's it's like their trade-off is, well, he does so much to help us with the other titans and stuff, but we sacrifice so many lives and damage. I'm like, I don't know. If it was me, I'd be coming up with the solution to just take Godzilla out and any of these monstrosities out for good, so we can not deal with the repercussions of what these dudes bring.
well, I think they've tried that and it's failed because we have nothing that can take out Godzilla.
I know, but
It's but I'm saying it's just a very obvious thing that has to be addressed. If they do a third movie in this trilogy, somehow that's got to be addressed.
I tell you what, I'm moving to like, if it's me, I'm like we live in Charlotte, and I'm like, nope, we're not safe here. You never know. I might have to look at the map and be like, maybe Montana, something like that. Yeah, I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah,
But definitely cities. Get out of the cities
yeah.
because you're just screwed.
So one of the other big things in this for you old Godzilla fans is they do a really nice job of bringing some member berries back. And it was done in a convoluted way, but they bring back Mothra. And I didn't want to talk about this in the non-spoiler because there was only the slightest hint in the trailer that there could be a tie-in, and there is. And when they bring back Mothra and she comes up, she looked fantastic. I love that. It was just a huge, great throwback. Mothra was one of my favorite early Godzilla movies, and you know they did great with the reintroduction of Mothra into this version of the franchise.
They did. I thought Mothra was really cool, but this movie, once again, it's like, okay, so the star of the movie, the leader is the Rebecca. That's the actress's name, right? Or is that the character's name? I don't remember.
Oh, Rebecca Hall's her real name.
Right. So she's the lead. And then, down there in Inner Earth, they discover this whole tribe of people that are basically the same people that the little girl who looks like a young teen now that can talk to Kong. She was the last remaining one on Upper Earth, I guess. Well, there's this whole tribe of them down there in Inner Earth. The leader of that tribe is a chick. Um, you know, one of the main scientists up above that Rebecca talks to is a chick, and I'm just like, can't we just have one dude as a leader in this thing? Doing stuff, just one. And then Godzilla, his power is blue when he, does Godzilla power, and it goes up through him, and he's glowing blue. But he goes out to the Arctic or wherever, and he's just absorbing all this other power. And now his power's pink, and pink is not a strong color. It is not a strong, formidable color. Red, if you're going to go that way, red shows anger. It shows, red is great for like conflict, and it's powerful. Pink is not. So when Godzilla's powering up and he's now pink, I'm just like, oh, not powerful at all looking.
Yeah. Now there definitely were, and there was also so the one really cool thing I can say, and then we'll get into some of the negative, was the exposition in a lot of this was kind of weak. There was the dialogue wasn't anything fantastic, but they had so many silent scenes where Kong is down in the new part of Middle Earth going through, and he's meeting these other apes, and the apes were trying to kill him, and it was great, but it was all silent because it was all verbal,
just them yelling,
communication, right, grunting. And honestly, I thought that was some of the best parts of the movie, where it was completely silent of dialogue, and it was some of the most meaningful and impactful. And I really appreciated those parts.
Yeah, well, so did I. I thought those worked really well because just from the grunting and the primal screaming of the apes and stuff, you knew what was going on and their body language and stuff. So they did a great job storytelling wise there. You could follow it. You're like, look, you could do a whole movie with just Kong against this other tribe of apes with just that, and you'd know what was going on.
Yeah. The elephant in the room we have to talk about, though, was the gauntlet.
Well, yeah, the gauntlet. So, when he meets these other tribe of apes, there's this new Titan, and the one leader of that tribe I was talking about that has a totally different body shape. He's thinner, looks more agile and stuff, just as big as Kong. He wears kind of a crisscrossing his body. It looks like basically a spinal cord of some creature that he fastened into like this belt, but at the end of it, and he uses it to whip around and stuff. At the end of it is this blue triangle shaped pointy, looking ice gem that he controls this other Titan with, who basically has power like Godzilla. He breathes stuff out, but it freezes stuff. So it's like ice breath, right? And he controls it with whatever that thing is at the end of it that's blue. So, they did it so it connects with the color of the creature and stuff. And, he can ride the creature and all that. Well, anyhow, this creature uses his ice breath, and Kong puts his arm up to deflect it, and it freezes his arm. And then Kong goes, and all the ice bursts off. But he's basically got frostbite on his hand and lower arm. So, thank God that they've been working on it for years, because of Mecha Godzilla from the first movie. If they ever needed it, they could build, like, I guess they were alluding to Mecha Kong. And it just so happens that in Inner Earth, that's where they were working on it. And this workable piece they had was the forearm attachment. So basically they were building an Iron Man suit for Kong. Well, they had the arm part that they could give to Kong now to help out with this frostbitten weak ass arm. Kind of like, the Incredible Hulk in Endgame had his arm messed up from the Infinity Gauntlet and stuff. So, lickety split. They're able to.
that
Go
is
ahead.
what we talked about beforehand, was how are they, because it was in the trailer, and I was just like, oh no, how are they going to do it? How long was it going to take them? Were they just going to build it? That was the one thing we talked about before the movie. I will say they at least gave it an explanation. Oh,
Yeah.
it's there. We just had to get it. But man, he managed to take that ship, somehow get all the way back to that place in the hidden bunker. And then he was right back there and it was on there. And I was like, oh, okay. This whole part with the arm is just nothing but plot armor.
Yeah,
And
because like when they're talking about building this thing, well, if you're building something like that to fit, Kong, you would have to have something, basically like a mannequin of Kong to work over to build the tech to the proper size and proportion and all that stuff. And, obviously they don't allude to any of that. They just allude that this thing was in development. And yeah, he flies back over to the bunker in Inner Earth, which was totally destroyed except for this part. He gets it, he flies back, it drops down, and it's very Iron Man-esque. It just attaches and does the whole stuff. And then when finally in the epic battle up on Kong has to get help from Godzilla, so he goes through one of the portal things up in Egypt where the pyramids are, which we'll get to. And when he's fighting with that gauntlet, it's very Iron Man because plates change and stuff. Oh, I got to throw this super punch, And then talk about collateral damage. They took out like 3 fucking pyramids.
yeah,
They took out 3. It's not like, oh, they ruined a house. Well, just rebuild the house. It's only been there for 40 years. Who cares? No, they took out like 3 pyramids. You just don't go, well, Egyptians, just rebuild them. No.
yeah.
Archaeologists were like, no.
That's why I'm saying at some point that has to be addressed in the movies, because and I'm okay that they did that as long as it gets addressed at some point, because it's too big. But now, with that being said, overall, like I said, there's some plot armor points. There's things that didn't make sense, but I always look at it when I walked out of the theater. Did I have fun? Was I happy? The answer is yes. The 3D was great. I did see somebody complaining how they were jostled around in their IMAX movie, and I'm like, how would you get jostled around unless you were in the 4D experience? Because I
Right.
mean, there was nothing like that. But overall, it was just a fun movie, and I would say give it a shot. You got some family stuff this weekend? Go take your kids to it. It's fun.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
just
it's
it.
PG-13. It's under 2 hours.
Yeah, that's just it. And there's no after credit, mid credit.
Yep.
It is, like I said, I walked out of it last night and my thought was to give it like around a 7. And just the more I thought about it and stuff, I just worked it down to the 5.5 that I gave it. It's worth a matinee. I fault Graham Nolan I fault Graham Nolan for my way of thinking because now I'm thinking too critically about these popcorn flicks. Thanks, Graham. Because I like Godzilla vs. Kong, and then Graham started pointing out all this stuff that now I think about, and I'm like, damn you, Graham.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, like I said, and it's on the heels of Godzilla -1. In my opinion, the best Godzilla movie ever made. And it's going to be compared to it, and rightfully so, because that was a masterpiece.
And you know what else is a masterpiece? Kor-Drath the Awakening. We can say that because behind the scenes, we're working on it, writing, drawing. This book is coming to you. The campaign launches April 13th, 14th, one of those days, Saturday or Sunday, that weekend. Guys, go sign up. When you sign up and back the book, you will get a free Adriana trading card drawn by me, colored by Kelsey Shannon, and front of the line shipping, which means when we go into fulfillment, your books will go out in the first week. So definitely sign up. Here's a better shot of the trading card. Of course, there's the main cover, cover A by me and Dan Lawless again. the homage cover. I did everything on it, pencils, inks, colors. And of course, the Bud Root variant cover. You're like, hey, wait a second. That seems familiar. That's because the first round he did Lilith. And for this one, we said, let's go with the same type of feel and vibe, except we want these covers to line up next to each other with her in the proper proportion. She's taller than Lilith. So if you missed out on the first one by Bud, it will be an add-on for this campaign. So that's coming at you. We'll, of course, show more stuff later when the campaign launches, but don't miss out. Go sign up. For those of you guys that back nice and tight the comic book art of Andy Smith, thank you so much. The book is at the printer now. The trading card is arriving from the printer tomorrow, and the sketchbook is also at the printer as well. So you've got that. We'll be back next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Maybe we'll have a guest. Maybe we won't. You'll just have to tune in to find out. Until then, everybody have a great weekend. Like, subscribe, and share. And bye-bye, everybody.
Long and prosper.
Gang sign.